call a couple very triggered with stress and was going through a really emotional time in my life, and it was like the universe gave me your contact details at the right time, because I was just able to connect with you and then just talk about some of the issues I was going through. I was sitting at the bus stop at the time, I think, and just talking about at the coaching program that I'm doing at the moment and the frustrations that I'm having, and just talking it out and having that opportunity to workshop it with you. I really appreciate your time. For people that are going to join us a little bit later, I'll let Sonia introduce herself, and we're just going to be talking about stress and triggers and how we need to change that energy to a positive, so we get some actionable steps.
Yeah, cool. And just as a little side note, if you're watching this and you didn't see our attempt at a live, it was quite ironic because the whole technology failed on us. And it was a beautiful example of you showing not being triggered like you would be in the past, and me completely on the other end going, now, same deal. Many years ago, that would have just frustrated the high nth out of me. So clearly, why did it not do that for both of us? Because we've identified and are working through our triggers. And that's essentially what I do in my career and my job, is I help people not only identify their triggers for stress, the root cause of the stress trigger, where it comes from, but also help them to cut back on the mindset that's creating the trigger, but also shift the energy and the subconscious physiological triggers for stress and anxiety and anything like that that gets us into that state of overwhelm. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
Yeah, I've only just been recently learning and understanding this, Sonia, so I'm really looking forward to you hearing your perspective of it, because, through my coaching program, through Chris's Amplify program, doing these meditations and then understanding about the transfer of past traumas, then it goes cellular and DNA, and it's like, wow, mind-blowing.
Yeah, really mind-blowing. And I just thought it'd be good to acknowledge some of the people that jumped onto the live at the start and made some comments about, I've got my phone here, so I'm looking away from the screen, but people wanting to know, saying I have a hard time dealing with stress, and things like self-medicating, people allowing themselves to get triggered, and it all comes down to a really simple thing. We've got to identify, and people will avoid this like the plague, but you've got to identify the why, and it's all about looking at yourself at a deeper level, often with the help of a practitioner, dare I say it, or a coach or a mentor who can help you really start to peel back and go, well, why do I feel this way about my life? And why am I triggered like this? And why is it then when someone says something to me that it sends me totally off on a stress, anxious tangent? And it's really this simple. It comes down to past trauma. And before people go, but I haven't had any trauma, this is what trauma is. It's this simple. It's anything that happens to you that covers these 4 criteria. So before you think, I've had no trauma in my life, it's anything that happened to you that was unexpected, anything that you just weren't prepared for at the time. Secondly, it's dramatic to you. It feels dramatic to you. And the moment when it occurs, it has an impact. The third criteria is that it's isolating. What that means is in that moment when that event occurs, you feel like you're the only person in the world going through it. Yeah. And it's interesting because when people get triggered into a stress response, those things are playing out. And the fourth thing is the past event, you had no one resources to deal with it at the time. It's called a UDIN, unexpected, D for dramatic, I for isolating, N for no one resources to deal with it at the time.
That's amazing. So, for example, with my stress last year and with my mental health, that's exactly what happened to me. I went through a job change, which wasn't aligned to what I was expecting to plan. I had planned out my life. I was buying the property in that beautiful suburb. I was, working in an environment and working with a team that I'd built up. And it was really tough for me to change the mindset and to realise that this wasn't aligned to where I wanted to be. And then, I did feel isolated, and without knowing it, isolated a lot of really good, close, supportive friends. And and you just go into a hole. You're just wanting to cocoon yourself and want to go into that, I want to feel safe again. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to be noting that down on my notebook right now.
Yeah, it's a really, there is a video I did on that topic, I think, somewhere that I could probably find. But what I'll add to that is what's interesting. You made the comment that you thought you had it all planned out. Now, a big trigger for anxiety is perfectionism, because we want it all organized and we want it all planned, simply because in the past, because of Udin moments, UDIN, we didn't feel safe, we didn't feel organized, we didn't feel planned, and we were caught off guard. And so then what we do based on those past experiences, big or small, big traumas, little traumas, we then base all of our behavior now on that need to control the future. And all stresses is a subjective experience and a fear of the future, or the fear of the now, based on something we've experienced in the past. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And when you get to understand, and this pulls it back to the beginning of our talk, if you can understand the why, get to the root cause of the why, clear it, you will not be triggered anymore. Your stress response, your fight or flight, will just disappear. It will, because that's what stress is. It's fight or flight, and it just disappears, and it disappears relatively easily with the right tools. And it's a case of finding what works for you, because there's a bit of difference for different people.
This is amazing. I'm just even having a lot of aha moments as we're talking now, because now even talking to you and using your body language and talking and having visual clues, it's making so much sense.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about anxiety, especially if you talk to someone who's feeling, and often stress will lead to anxiety because we're trying to control, and control is better than perfectionism. And when we can't have perfectionism, we'll try and control more to feel safe, and that causes more stress. And it's this vicious circle. But you talk to anyone who's got anxiety, and it is a feeling, a fear that something bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
And stress is, what's that?
I'm surprised I wasn't a doomsday prepper.
And stress is the same. Stress is just that underlying fear that we're going to lose control, or we're going to make mistakes. It's all, and it's that simple. And we've kind of overcomplicated it. And a few of the people on there said, "Oh, how do I deal with this? I self-medicate." We self-medicate because we don't know the how. We don't know the how at a deeper subconscious mind, body, spirit level, how to clear that past stuff so that we can move forward and feel calm and relaxed about the future and trust. And a big part of letting go of stress, and this is a big thing I do with my clients, is really, when you do look at those past events, those Udins, most of the time when you reflect on them, it all worked out in the end. But we've lost our faith and our trust and our sense of knowing that everything's going to be okay. Because when you know that in your core of who you are, when you know and believe and trust that everything's going to be okay, you just don't get stressed. You just don't.
Yeah. And it's funny that I've done full circle with that. I'm sort of coming around to it now. I still do get triggered on a regular basis, and you have to keep it in check. It's a daily, minute by minute focus that you don't allow that thought to escape or to eliminate and to keep on going. But I've come that full circle where I felt fully broken, and then coming back to a real self-confidence and a real self-worth, and to know that it's that Dorothy kind of follow the yellow brick road, click through wheels. That was the answer, was there the whole time.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. And what you mentioned about your thoughts and the ruminating, you're not your thoughts. They're just thoughts. And if you don't attach to your thoughts and you just go, "Oh, that's interesting that I had that thought," or "It's an interesting point of view, I had that point of view," and you just shrug it off and let it go. That in itself, but we get so stuck in but if the triggers, if the Udins are really strong and they've been repetitive and quite significant, and especially the repetitive aspect, then it does take a little bit more effort than just trying to think positive thoughts and do the, you've really got to get in there at a subconscious level and clear those traumas so that you're not being constantly triggered. But
that's what I've been working through the last couple of weeks, and I guess that's why I have been really erratic, because I'm really uncomfortable a lot of the time at the moment. I'm going through a new learning phase, and what's happened and what I've done in the past is now not working for me, and I know that I need to improve and go and level up and come to that next consciousness and know that it's time to invest in myself and not to continue feeling like that.
Yeah. And the other thing is, the reason you're, like you say, talk about uncomfortable is because your subconscious brain, which is where the Newtons are all sitting, it doesn't like change. Yeah. It will do anything and yet change is the one constant. But the good thing is with anything, I always describe it like this. If like going in through any healing journey, any personal transformation, like you're going through, Luke, you think about a house renovation, you've got something you know you don't like, you want it to be better, but you don't go from there to the end result straight away. You've got to go through all that crap in the middle, the dust, the pulling out of the old cabinetry, the, sanding of the floors, and it's a mess and it's disgusting. But you don't get to that yucky part in the middle like you're feeling now and go, I can't handle this, I'm going back to the old way. You don't. You know on the other side, but so many people are, here's the futility, here's where a lot of stress lies, in trying to stay here and trying to stay in this space and resisting change. But the resistance of change is futile because that's what causes more stress and anxiety as well.
Ding, 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 ding.
I know. When I got all this, I was like, holy crap, this makes sense. But geez, yeah. So there you go. So I think for that in itself is probably some good information for people to start to really sort of sit with and think,
yeah,
it's about doing it a different way. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate, again, you giving me another aha moment for me to now just move forward.
Yeah.
This journey, this transformation, like people are going to just start thinking that journey is such a buzzword for me, because it is. I'm like, all the time, it's a high and it's a low, and it's just, it's
great. And I do say to people, healing is a journey. There are going to be days where it's shit, and excuse my French, sorry, but that's reality. Yeah. It's just going to be really hard. But you've got to remember, I always just say, remember the house renovation. You just got to get through it, because then when you finally your kitchen's installed, you look around and you forget how hard it used to be. And you can't have dark without light. You can't have light without dark, But it's just remembering to just keep one step forward each day, being kind to yourself, not attaching to those thoughts, and staying in your heart and out of your head.
Love that.
We've got it. Thank you, gorgeous Luke. I'll be chatting to you soon. Yeah. And to anyone who's watching this video, feel free to connect with Luke or myself. We can definitely help you and guide you in the right direction with things you can do to help you on the journey. But please, one thing, never accept that there's nothing you can do, because there's always something out there that will work for you.
Yeah. Have a great day.
Lots of love, darling.
Bye.
See you. Bye.